Torah Obscura Radio Hour, Season 2, The Proceedings of the Academy of the Dream Society, by Michael Diamond. Chapter 11, Nonsense and Insensibilia. I thought we'd be okay. We all thought so. There are rules, bylaws, contractual obligations. Yes, submarine travel has its exceptions. Nonetheless, we invoked the holy name of the institution itself, the Academy, our sponsors, for God's sake. That's when the mockery began. I think it was the captain himself, or maybe the purser or the first mate. Possible the tour director had a hand in it. Part of the damn problem, the vagueness of rank and station. I tried to remember their names. He, whoever he was, merely gave us a sinister grin, started singing "The Girl with the Sweet Potato Eyes." It stung a bit, you know. I mean, the food was supposed to be good on a cruise. No need for a shaggy dog story. Then we saw the bodies floating by the portholes. He was robbing Peter to pay Paul. The disposal of bodies. It was clear. The rules, along with the bodies, straight out the window. All of it junked years ago by the saint, the Berber from Hippo. Then she threw her thigh over mine, likely as not, though no need for names at this point. It was up periscope, anchors away. But the stillness. She hushed me, and every body I ever dreamed flashed in those waters. The arm I saw in the garden, limp with spent pleasure. The mound of wheat, the flower at the field's edge, the discarded caftan. It was neither night nor day. The world whimpered. The spell broke. Assassination. One way of dealing with the inconvenience of a living body, bida bang, bida boom. It can happen any time. It happens all the time. There is an assassination plot, the map of the mathematical function of the life to be rubbed out, erased. The life, not the map. Why we use pens, mightier than the pencil. The trajectory may be parabolic, hyperbolic, metabolic, anabolic, shambolic, catabolic, diabolic, carbolic, or symbolic. How the ball bounces. Sometimes the whole gig repeats, works out the bugs, or just for show, style points. In the end, you know they're coming for you. Nothing to be done. All part of a body's admissions process. Most bodies, that is. Even on the waiting list, you might be subjected to an assassination or two. That's how they roll in the interworld. There are guys who bypass the assassin. Naki, for one, an original, along with Eli Jah, the invisible dude, and Malachi Zed, the last messenger. All three of those Goombas bypass the usual entrance requirements. But you can't count on that. Rare as hen's teeth. The Assassin's Guild is a secretive bunch of hallucinogenic hooligans, old as the hills. Don't ask me which hills, maybe the Judean hills or the Appalachians or the Western Ghats. Gondwana land, mother of mountains, children everywhere. But I digress. The Black Knight stalked me in a wooded vale in the coolness of late afternoon shade. Astride a black metal steed, the helmeted black ninja bore a lance, hoisted a banner that cried, "Eternity." In my head, I heard the words, "Eternity is a door through which you may not return." Words I penned in a dream. Captured, so I thought. The inconstancy of dream confinement. A shudder shook my torso as the dark figure rolled down the wooded hill and up the other side, a pinball in a basin of attraction. I suspected I was the attractor. What help there was might be found amongst the local tavern crowd, an earnest bunch of dullards. A handful of the crew swore for me, having no idea what was the game. I was not reassured. Hanging out at Bar d'O, a favorite watering hole for wise guys, assassins, and made men in the interworld. The waitstaff there is famously incompetent. All the staff at Bar d'O are waitstaff, of course. Ask for a double, and what do you get? 2 tumblers of booze nested one atop the other, upside down. Impossible to drink both. No one can hold their liquor here, if you catch my drift. Good news is everything's made fresh, no preservatives. You get the occasional disappointed customer who wants takeout. Poor sucker doesn't realize it won't make it home, whatever that is. The shifty nature of food and drink at Bar de O. Bar de O has a 70s house band. At least I think it's the same venue. Everything's connected. Long, skinny hall with folding chairs, sells out most nights. Billowy stage curtains everywhere, very mysterious. I might know the band. I gave them an idea for playing Honky Tonk Woman, Phase It into Jackson Brown's The Loadout. Nice contrast, compatible chords, grungy barroom erotica becomes grungy sentimental departure. It'll be a hit. Funny term, hit. Musical assassins, they're everywhere. Keep the hits coming. That's what I told the box office people, that I was friends with the performers. When I realized I hadn't bought a ticket, they told me to take it up with the band. So I'm making my way back through this labyrinth of muslin and drop cloths when the idea hits. I'll just ask them if they need a backstage shrink. Why not? Another assassination plot. Garbled messages pass between bathroom stalls in the WC at Bar de O, the dead drop du jour for the savvy messenger. The front desk claims they lost your registration. Just like the Delphic Oracle, these agents deal in the political 411, the real dirt. Unmute thyself, the message of the Oracle. No sense sitting alone in your room. Either way, the end is the same. So why not make a play for it? Think about it. Anything can be had for a song. The devilish thing is the tune and the words. I'll take a shot. There he is. The assassin stares through the front door of my subterranean apartment, a single-room pied-à-terre 6 steps down. I recognize him the instant he is framed by the full-length pane that exposes me to the outside world. His face lights up. It says that he has found me and that he will race back to street level to accomplish his mischief. I know him, though his hair has regained its former Woodstock length. Before we were pals. The hippie trickster. He is a dead man come to give me the news. The surprise and urgency scrawled across his face bears the repeated message, I have found you. Don't move. I must act quickly, and it will not be in your interest. A witness, a curmudgeonly recluse, stands behind me as we both gape at the assault in progress on my front steps. His worry a shade darker than mine. I will thwart this would-be murderer, by God. An odd symmetry between my reclusive friend and my assailant. The frozen faces, permutations of fright. The one who is afraid to act hangs back. The other, who fears to miss his shot, jumps. Both came of age with little to no benefit of fathering, angry and defiant into the wide world. They share a common perversity of thought and terseness of speech. A true knight utters no unnecessary words. Both are sly provocateurs, adopting a subtle fuck you stance. They are kind and generous souls. They revel in their own mystery. Beloved. But the assassin struts the stage of the world. He is paid to perform, handsomely at times, a musician of some renown. Silver slips through his fingers like flour through a sieve. He is unreliable, mercurial. He has bet the farm and bought it. Those who love him are left holding the bag. The recluse lives on the margin, subsisting on his meager patrimony, which he meters out sparingly as a chef his saffron. He does not disturb the world. His skills, for the most part, remain hidden, except for the occasional conversational flourish, the superfluous spillover. He stops himself, contains himself. He is reliable to a fault. He dwells at a far remove from all those who love him, but makes pilgrimage to those who would have him. I bolt through the door and up the stairs, determined to stop the murder in progress. My murder. My reclusive friend tags along just behind. I see the assassin. He crouches inside his nondescript convertible, reaching for something I must not allow him to deploy. I move in, fling my words to outpace the too slow speed of my body. I know what you're doing! But it is too late, as always. In freeze frame, I see that he holds a plain, small juice glass in his right hand, the kind you might find in a 1950s New Jersey diner, the kind they used to use for milk commercials on TV. It brims with a clear liquid. In spite of my efforts to thwart him, the assassin launches the contents of the glass toward me. A slosh of clear liquid arcs through the air, escapes the confines of the assassin's convertible, crosses the gap between the curb and me, and lands with a splash on the left side of my neck. I am wet. I expect the burn of a corrosive acid, but it does not come. Then I imagine the invasion of my flesh by an armada of deadly virions. It is too soon to tell. Nothing happens. The recluse hovers just behind me, saying nothing, but I feel the pressure of his apprehension. My friend the assassin looks on from the threshold of his departure. He morphs into a psychotic youth who knows not what he does, an implacable stare plastered on his neotenic face. I anticipate another Dreamtime attack. I am Shiva, the stain of the world's poison, the mundane, yet unseen on my throat. The three of us are framed in pregnant expectancy. Is death coming? The question of why never enters the picture. Maybe it was just water, a practical joke, a deadly serious practical joke. How long must I wait for the onset of effect? How shall I count my days? After the encounter with the psychotic youth, the one who tossed a cup of water and then brought a metal step stool down on my left shoulder as I ducked to avoid a concussion, my frozen shoulder shrugged off its stasis according to the same temporal formula as the violent intrusions into my consciousness. A whole damn year of assassination flicks, starring yours truly as the would-be killer. An evil, though handsome, syringe-wielding man of foreshortened stature has assaulted a woman. She lies collapsed against a chain-link fence, apparently the edge of a college ball field. Another man, possibly a paramedic, rushes forward to inject the antidote that he just happens to have at hand. The man of compressed height approaches, mocks the would-be savior, and tosses the used syringe toward the woman with a deprecatory gesture. Paramedic man is torn between his medical ministrations and the pursuit of justice, or at least of small-statured bad guys. I, whoever I am, step in and tackle the little bad man, immobilize him using the chicken wing hold I learned in 8th grade wrestling. This is a variation. His arm is an actual chicken wing. He, however, is not alarmed. Diminutive dude and a nearby Confederate joke that we, paramedical man and I, still depend on our sense of hearing of all the ridiculous. Telepathy is implied. We should be embarrassed by the unnecessary audition. Little man makes a puerile joke about my manhood, to wax euphemistic. I counter, observing, "Oh, 3rd-grade humor." That showed him who was who. Scattered or dissolved, we dispatched ourselves. We two float together on an ocean current. A tour of oil tanker wrecks, environmental catastrophes, my elder daughter and I. We pass the wreck of a rig called the Tulsa, Oklahoma. Large-scale assassination. Must be careful not to scrape one's feet on the submerged metal edges. My young lass warns me not to put my head underwater on account of likely toxins, though she inexplicably submerges herself. The two of us drift into a shallow place where I find there is a sandy bottom, a respite for feet. Apparently we are to meet a clean-cut, young would-be killer, Harry Scharf, whomever he might be. Strolling down a rural cowpath, we, whoever we am, pass a Marine Corps installation. I speculate with some vague regret whether I can cut through, catch up with the party that turned off the path moments ago. Turns out to be Arlington National Cemetery. I wonder if my friend the dead soldier is here. There is a pile of leaflets bearing a photo of the deceased man. A sudden rush convulses my torso, then passes. I stare at the stack of printed material and pick up one of the leaflets to show it to the guard and signify that I am of this party. He gives me the nod. Turn right and navigate to a picnic table. There he sits with his back to me. I rub the dead man's shoulders. Says he's glad I'm there, or here. or neither, or both. Seated facing one another across the picnic table, we pick up that ridiculous tune and sing hanky-panky. I have forgotten that he is dead, so we merely chortle in our mischief, old chums, young in memory. Earlier, a woman arrives at what may have been the memorial service for the dead man and asks that she be permitted to sit, not to participate in the compulsory gettings up and sittings down as the others seemed to. I know or knew her once. She was not by nature inclined to ask, but here she hesitates. To hesitate is the way of proceedings in the interworld, the petty pace of those who wait here, now, the undecided now, by the minute, ripening. Vegetal haptic, roots, shoots, leaves, flowers. Go, my beauty, sow the bloom. How, why, and wherefore the Academy conducts its interrogations. Twixt the demands of one time and another, twin queries, desire and abeyance, foreshortened longing that slips like quicksilver through cracks in the firmament, not a trace. Fit! My children won't speak to me because my breath smells of macadamia milk, the thick black liquor at the bottom of the carton. The slaughter of the macadamia does not come cheap. A macadamia reduction, the caramelization of macadamia, roux macadamienne. It must be the violence done to the macadamia that repels them. I can think of no other explanation. The depletion of the water supply. Yes, I admit it. I am the macadamian assassin. It cannot be helped. Not a pretty sight, but so it goes. The pain had not gone, but it had lessened a bit. I felt more able to move it around and to move around it, the little assassin. It was still a bear to get up in the morning. Sciatica. Yippee-yay-yippee-yatica. Tick-ticka-ticka womp. You hear me? Have you indexed that sound? How unhip. Not the trip I would have chosen, but what's to be done? I found a bass player the other day who would join us in our memorial jam. No one yet to play the dead man's axe. Vision with no damn manifestation. A pain in the assassin. The non-hallucinatory left side, to be precise. I am tested, of course. Play me an identity. Just another indexing. I wonder about my attachments to the case. Shall I decline to answer? My people, the Jews, were in the news those days. I found it strangely moving to hear a random sample of Parisian Gentiles proclaiming, "Je suis juif." I am not sure about the logistics of identity. Will you move with me, my brother, to the Holy Land? In the end, will you attempt to reclaim the Temple Mount? And in that bloody battle so painfully set out in your book, will you die with us, or shed your identity and be saved? A question for the admissions committee. Indexing. Bloody indexing. I'd rather see us dance in the rocky gap where Moses napped, the place where the Holy One mooned our teacher. Watch with me, my brother, the parade of the 13 mercies, 13 ways of returning to the womb of the holy name. Holy indexing. The woods of the quiet man welcome me back once again, except my bootless hunting. In the woods there are many indices, whole communities of arcane knowledge. It is both confusing and reassuring. I come to the forest to see the beauty there and to feel my fear. Woodstock steampunk mannerist. The light of the future arrives dressed in the drag of the past. We are stardust. We are crystal meth. We are every crisp surface that lands the eye. It isn't over. It isn't under. It isn't around. It isn't within. It is pixelated and blown from the palm of the artist onto a new canvas. It is both breathtaking and breath-giving. It is a matter of money, of principle, of time, of some gravity, of consequence, of fact, of great import, of some delicacy. Or is it an energy? Or nothing, no matter. What? One man's fire extinguisher is another man's living room lamp. Repurposed, reincarnated, rethinged. Thinged. The sound of anonymous creation squeezing itself out of the void. Thing. Grasping with what? With whom? Masculine light caught by the expanse of skin between your twin shoulder blades. Moon over mist-covered meadow. Tendrils of fog, delicious. At once, fetal position, airy condensate drawn around you. Labyrinth of microscopic mirrors hint you, calls to me. I will pitch my tent in your backyard until aliens abduct us, until the porridge grows thick with skin, until a bovine homeland is established. Show me the shelter of your sanctum sanctorum that beats in our cages. Let's laugh the laugh of sages and miscreants, living as we do in our unholy place. And your bird laughs too. He laughs me, and I you, and we all together. The world crooks its finger that we might dig its dirt. Strain against the net. The severe beauty of its lattice presses gold to cheek and wraps the dorsum of the hand, snags the buttons on the front of the shirt. I feel the tug of 10 tiny moons that caress my upper body and another 10 my lower. Yet, the bird still chirps outside my window. The couch groans under the rumps of my friends, and I delight in the rush of traffic at the gate. There is another influence tracks my every move, zigs when I zig and zags when I zag. Up periscope, perk sonar, flit radar. Loose the pulsars, the quasars, every cosmic hound. I will find you. It's an art. I can guess your weight. Then, as a smile cracks my face, I turn and it's you, my planetary twin, last stop on this world's tour. Another dead one arrives at my party, crosses the threshold of the humble shack where it seems I entertain a mixed multitude. People, whoever they are, wander freely the hall and the adjacent rooms. A din of music paints the air. I am happy, pleased to see her, so long in passing, but I have forgotten. She too has assumed her former hippie gear, though I have no idea if it was ever her wardrobe, feathers and beads and flowing hair. She did not attend Woodstock, of that I am nearly certain. Her smile showers affection upon my thirsty self. She is a dealer in grief and loss, balm to the assassin's collateral damage. I tell her I want to show her my prayer shawl, elaborately decorated, from another life. She holds the rich knobby fabric in her hands to admire the craft. That's when it hits me. You're dead, I say to her in wonder. She beams me subtle and luminous. De nada, she seems to say. Everything fades. Standing in the parking garage, I ask my large friend to summon the red-haired, red-bearded, grinning behemoth, induce him to come over and talk. I mistake the amorality of Redbeard's smile for a sign of inner peace. "What do you do, big fella?" I inquire of him. "Hillbilly," says he, and describes a kind of meditative barefoot walking on hills. I allow as to how I'm a fan of the martial arts. He says, "Nope, very different." A hint of his malevolence glints in his eye, and I am glad of my large friend. Scene after scene, roving predators in urban buildings summarily evict the previous occupants. One of the invaders is a woman with a baby carriage. I am in a bar or viewing station of some sort. A fellow behind the bar pulls a handgun, which I turn adroitly. He shoots himself instead. Violence amps up throughout the bar. A bus overturns, careens toward the building, splinters a plate glass window. Arm in arm with my beloved, we stroll the sunny streets of outdoor booths and displays of craft. I spy a booth that is manned, as it were, by 2 bare-chested women. Notice a picture of 2 eggs labeled, "Tel Dan." No idea. I excuse myself and amble over to inspect and otherwise be edified. Scruffy gypsies attired in flimsy black lace, they exude a different flavor of malevolence. No words, and the picture of the 2 eggs has vanished. Where are the eggmen? The 2 kingdoms? The hill of the judge speaks volumes. The jewel of the Galilee, gyre upon gyre. I once walked the watery paths of the mad god nearby, whose spring bubbles through bedrock among the trees of hidden flowers, leaves that poison every living thing upon which they fall. the union of everything and its lover, sound, who plays her gentle tribute to the child of that spring, the river of descent, to dissolve into the Dead Sea. By all appearances, I am king of my castle, one whose outer appearances are in a state of rot, mine and the castle's. I can neither sit nor stand nor lie. Once more I will subject myself to the blade. Minute winged creatures invade the catwalk that abuts the great hall. My queen, assaulted by the magus of sleaze, holed up in a cave on a distant shore, laments the purloined shard of her soul. 2 strong sons leap to her defense, though the evil one may prove unassailable. We are Minusians, people of minutia. We sing the praise of tiny things. The Bardo is like an airport, only smaller, she says with a sly smile. The sound of airplanes and crowd noise nearby nearly drowns out her voice. Her intercessors attend the deaths of animals or other creatures so imperiled. She had been there in a body. That's how she knows. Her other contacts are more like phone calls. She rang up St. Francis once to assist the soul of a dead bird by the side of the road. He kindly informed her that it was not his union, referred her to the proper lower authorities. From her bardonic perch, she gleans the hidden knowledge of wounded creatures, be they squirrel or bird or house cat. The road knows no distinction. As she lazed in bed with 2 large dogs, her husband and teenage children took their meals in her absence. That was when I first came to know her. She had retired from everything, a former muckety-muck in the bureaucracy. They killed her, or she played dead, one or the other. My ministrations revived her but briefly. Then she tumbled into the bardo again. It was my fault. I should have known, should have parsed the bardonics of her modus vivendi. She evinced an inordinate curiosity for reincarnation. My mother dodged the assassin's bullet 5 times that I know, though I'm pretty damn sure she was in league with her assassin, God knows what reason. The assassin's name was no mystery. Nico, gender neutral. Nico Tiana, according to the dossier I put together, a member of the Solanese crime family, likely an Italian dame or dude, not sure which really. Part of the mystique, I guess. What I do know is that their association began when my mother was young, looking for a fix for the apprehension induced by the rearing of children. Even then we all knew it was wrong, but she turned a deaf ear. Pity. It did not end well, though she made it just shy of her 76th birthday. Not too shabby for one who courts assassins. The only other backstory for Nico I've been able to unearth is that she, or he, sprang fully formed from the head of a dying mother, Sky Woman. May account for the Stygian darkness that billows in the wake. The first blow was a quick chop to the back of the head. My mother never knew what hit her, though she blandly reported to me her sudden sideways tumble, which occurred while she pushed a shopping cart around the grocery store. She thought nothing, knew nothing, said nothing to no one until 12 hours later when I rang her up from my car on the way to a meeting of the Dream Society Ladies Auxiliary. More on that later. Anyway, even then it was clear. Mom was in cahoots with whoever smacked her across the occiput. She and her then beau, a minor leaguer, shared a fondness for the company of the assassin, all very casual, or causal, more likely. After I got the 2 of them squared away with the medicos and stopped by to pay my respects, I ambled on the next morning to my assignation with the ladies. 14 middle-aged women and me. That was the setup. The Dream Society works in mysterious ways. I had received special dispensation from Boss Lady Shaman to make a few hours aerial sortie to the hub to discharge my tribal responsibility in a sacred rite of passage for my friend Snakeholder's son, Strength of Jah. Snakeholder had sent my invite to a defunct address, a typical Dreamtime error. So when he called to ask if I was coming, I was flummoxed as I had already reserved my spot with the ladies. However, my tribal responsibility to him was deep and ancient. I had been assigned the gig of opening the Ark, hence my special dispensation on account of my framing it that way to Shaman Lady. Here in the woods, just outside the Little Apple, was to be a 4-day smorgasbord of Inuit and Hawaiian mojo, a training session for potential inductees into the academy. One of the ladies had a head full of angels. During arts and crafts, she motions me across a sea of construction paper collages. "You're Jewish, right? Can I ask you a question?" She's dead earnest, albeit a little light in the loafers by my reckoning. "Sure. What's your question?" I'm curious, always game for a little spirited back and forth. "The angels tell me that whenever a pack of motorcyclists rides by, I'm supposed to call out, 'Bless the Ark of the Covenant.'" She squints a couple of times, gives a lightly bewhiskered smile. "What is the Ark of the Covenant?" She awaited my reply. I proceed, as one does when one aspires to entrance into the academy, to give her more detail than she could possibly want. Well, the tabernacle is the structure built in the wilderness to house the covenant from Sinai, the 10 Commandments, and all that. The ark is the fancy cabinet within the tabernacle in which the covenant dwelt. The kinds of work to assemble and disassemble the tabernacle led the rabbis to opine it was exactly that kind of work that we are not supposed to do on the Sabbath. I pause. She smiles and blinks. I say no more. Somehow, the fact that it was my assigned tribal task to open the ark did not percolate into consciousness at that moment. Strange silos. After chow on Friday, the head shaman lady lays it on us. We are each supposed to have a big dream that night, one that would transport us into the following day, the ticket to an embrace by the Dream Society muckety-mucks. That was it for detail. I hustle back to my cabin in the pines to retrieve my trusty kit of essential oils. I was going to make damn sure of that big dream. The recipe book lay on the bed beside me. I pulled out every transmogrifying stop in my New Age grimoire. By the end of all my daubing and dripping, I stunk like a Thai bordello. Shut-eye was slow in coming, but when my alarm goes off at 4 a.m., I am one cosmically disappointed, albeit smelly, dude. No big dream. And 2 planes to catch, Little Apple to City of Brotherly Love, and thence to the hub. I shamble up to my gate at Allentown International Airport. International is as inflated a presumption as Little Apple. I stare dumbstruck across the counter as the 2 attendants inform me that my puddle jumper is canceled. Not possible. It was the only listed flight that could connect me to my flight out of Philly, timed with military precision to ensure my arrival in Boston just prior to my buddy Snakeholder's tribal hoedown. A bad dream. Then one of them says, "If you can run down the hallway behind you, there's a seat on the flight that's leaving right this minute." Either they were pulling my leg, or a previously non-existent flight materialized out of thin air to get me where I needed to go. The weird was upon me. The cab pulled up in front of the Art Nouveau Romanesque mashup that was the Temple of the Tents of Peace, the place where Strength of Jaw was about to be invested as a man. The smaller dome of the anteroom swam with the signs of the zodiac. Perfect. I found Winston and Gertie, the old folks from home, Snakeholder's parents, squeezed into a wooden pew near the front. "Hey, Winston!" I fell right back into our former mode of kibitzing. They had aged considerably. With a soupçon of warmth and mischief, I oothed them. "How's old age treating you?" Winston didn't skip a beat. "It's great, Jakey. Or is it Joey? Gosh, what a darn thing memory is. You know, for every one thing that ever happened to me that I've forgotten, there are 2 more things that never happened that I remember." Great line. The collapse of a 30-year time gap, and a mirror of Dream Society mechanics. Then, of all the gym joints, the original thoughts without a thinker guy in all his unassuming neurotic glory shows up. The man who solved the puzzle of meditation and psychotherapy. A Dream Society bonus. His nephew was sharing the limelight, a double simcha, as we say, double happiness. Before the ship of service got underway, I delivered my message of praise and thanks. That was all. Cool. Having squeezed my considerable bulk into a pew, I flipped to the Torah reading for the day, It's the frickin' blueprint for the assembly and disassembly of the frickin' tabernacle, the thing I explained in technicolor detail to Angel Lady just the day before. I could feel the infrastructure shifting beneath me, the sliding of hidden panels. The Lady Rabbi, the emulator, beams her sad, gentle grace to each of us in our pews. As the holy gang portages the Torah around the hall, it emanates its life-giving mojo throughout the circulatory bed that undulates amongst the faithful. A spark jumps from Rabbi Emulator's eyes to mine as we both sing the bit from the Book of Numbers about trucking the tabernacle through the desert. The ancient verb for said trucking, moving oneself over a considerable distance, was repurposed into the modern Hebrew verb, meaning to travel by motorized transport. It hit me like a pack of motorcycles. I flashed on Angel Lady, smiling. The Ark of the Covenant, the cabinet of cosmic wonders, hits the road. I see her mouthing the words, "Bless the Ark of the Covenant." Then comes the real treasure. The emulator lays it on us, the hidden mojo of the blessing of the priests, based on her emulation of her father, the Hasidic Rav. 3 pairs of blessings, actually, each pair yoked by the letter Vav. The cool trick Rabbi E learned from her pop was to switch the meaning of the conjunction Vav from "and" to "but." Totally legit. This simple sleight of hand shifts the meaning. The stack of 6 blessings morphs to 3 blessings, each conjoined with its remedy. Badass concept, the remedy for a blessing. Why 3? 3 levels of mojo. Material, spiritual, and divine. Dude! May the ineffable bless you, but may it protect you. Too much materiality drives a man insane. May the ineffable shine its countenance upon you, but may it give you grace. The aura of the countenance, that shiny spiritual awareness for which you can't easily account, can give a fella a really swell head. May the ineffable turn its countenance toward you, but may it grant you peace. Whoa, baby. The whole enchilada, the big picture, full frontal assault. Damned if you don't need a dose of peace to survive that. At the end of the Torah reading, there's Moses, gobsmacked before the Ark of the Covenant, the voice of the ineffable coming to him from between 2 cherubim. Not the chubby little putty of Quattrocento portraiture, but the frickin' Praetorian Guard of the Almighty, perched atop the Ark. I flash again on Angel Lady, the Grail messenger herself, and all the other ladies of the Dream Society Auxiliary, beaming from the woods beyond the Little Apple. My brain, a house of mirrors, beams in return. In the luncheon hall, I make my congratulations, eat a polite few bites, exchange luminous words with Rabbi E, and hightail it for Logan. Tribal duty discharged. In Philly, another non-existent earlier flight materializes the moment before I arrive. Deja vu. I run down the hall to catch it on the tarmac before it begins to taxi. As I settle into my seat, a strange sleepiness comes upon me. A nasty habit of ceasing to breathe while asleep renders me tragically incapable of snoozing on airplanes. Nonetheless, my head bobbles. Then a snake bites my left hand. That startles me. Then I go down for the count. I'm back, ambling down the hallway from the bedrooms to the dining room and the conference center, when the door to the WC opens, and my teacher, Chief Shaman Lady, emerges. I freeze as she morphs into a giant snake. Her head winds its way behind me and bites me on the left occiput. End of dream. What you might call a big dream. Oddly, I experience no elation, merely curiosity. Dusk falls. I scurry into the retreat center. A gaggle of shaman wannabes stand in a clump in the unlit assembly room attended by the 2 teachers. My dream and my otherworldly trip to the hub is not upon my tongue. It's inaccessible. The ritual of the fire serpent is about to commence. Who knew? I sure as hell didn't. The fricking serpent ritual. Still, even that knowledge fails to jog the memory of my snake dream to share with my fellow herpetophants. The night, so long awaited, leaves me cold, each of us cavorting around our own private bonfires. I fall asleep, profoundly unaffected by the fire dance. or so I thought. Terror strikes around 4 a.m. I dream once again that I'm walking down that same hallway, directly to the dining room. Before me, a picnic table. Seated there, big woman, or so I called her. In waking life, an affable sort, a bit butch. We had exchanged a few laughs. So I sit down next to big woman. She turns to me wielding a sharp blade, puts her arm around my shoulder, and pronounces with ominous deliberation, "Now we're going to do you." I awake in a cold sweat, and sleep does not return. I shower, dress, and sit breathing on the edge of my bed. At the earliest possible moment, I set off down the hallway toward the dining room. As I arrive on the spot, who should be sitting there but, wanna guess? Big woman. That's when I knew, or should have known, exactly where I was. The ghost burial. The place where the Poe or the Nephish, or whatever you dubbed the mojo that drives the machine, exits the torso at its lowest point at the brink of death. How will you tell when you cease to live? And what is it that lives and what ceases? Deep breaths. Feel pulse. I sit down next to big woman, put my arm around her shoulder, and say, "I just had a dream, and you were in it." She listens as I narrate the hair-raising tale. Then she throws back her head and bursts into guffaws. It cut the tension, though it morphs into an uncomfortable communal gag for the last few hours of the retreat. My teacher, Chief Shaman Lady, is nowhere to be found. I had refused her boon unawares, unconsciously tightened my sphincter against her occult influence. Her offer of apprenticeship lapsed, though that only strikes me later, manqué. Apparently, I am dead to her. Goodbye, ladies. I hit the road for the nation's capital. The Dream Society Ladies Auxiliary, my admissions ticket, rendered once again insensible. Yet I would live. Goodbye, ghost burial. Perhaps the newly acquired mojo of the blessing of the priest, Reb Emulator's luminous words, had protected me, fended off the Witch of Endor, or one of her weird sisters. A turning point in the latter part of the trajectory of the weird.